Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Welcome everyone to the Think Small podcast. My name is Monica Demma with MD Inc. I'm here with Carolyn Brand. She's the founder of SpanHR, an integrated HR firm that helps scaling companies make better people decisions before growth exposes the cracks. Welcome, Carolyn. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Monica. It's great to be here.
So let's just jump right into it. Carolyn, what is your business about? What is the core of SpanHR?
As companies grow and scale, they hit different points and things become a challenge. And from the people side, those start to show at $1 million in revenue, $5 million. It all compresses over time. And so we've designed our organization to address that. And so the way we address it is, depending on the level of scale and where someone is in their growth journey, is we drop in integrated HR teams based on where they're at. So an organization, let's say at $20 million, may need more of a true team like you would see in a corporation, versus maybe somebody at 5 million needs someone that is moving things along, helping out administratively, whatever that might be. We're there with oversight and know-how because we've seen it many, many times as companies scale. We know the signs, and so we're able to address and put in that structure for them to help them scale better.
Fantastic. So I know you mentioned some markers there, 1 million versus 5 million. So how is working with small versus large companies different strategically from an HR perspective?
Absolutely. So as you can imagine, the founders are typically very involved at that 1 to 5 million and even up to 10 million or more. And so we're working with those founders to put those structures into place to give them the ability to step out of those areas where they may be managing, because the CEO, let's say, becomes the person to handle employee concerns or performance management, pay raises, all of those things that come up. And so we step in to take that over. And as the company scales and the founder takes on more of a role that's not as, let's say, connected to everything, then we're able to surround them more with the people operations that they need that will allow them to continue scaling for quite some time.
Okay. And what would you say the interaction is between the team that you install and the CEO as he's able or she is able to step away from the day-to-day people tasks?
Yes. Great question. So first of all, it's scary being a CEO and of a scaling organization as you see things coming at you. You're responsible for operations, finance, business development, whatever those items are. There's a lot of weight, a lot of emotional weight. And our team comes in, because we know what this looks like, our team comes in, we work directly with the CEO to identify what are those pockets and areas where we need to step in specifically immediately. And then we look at the broader landscape and say, okay, what does a 90-day plan look like or a 1-year plan look like to make sure that we set this example organization up for scale? And oftentimes, founders are looking to sell at some point in the future. And so by putting in this structure, they don't have to, let's say, bring on a single provider, a single consultant that usually can only do one or two things. Our team can cover end to end. So everything from the hiring to onboarding to termination to more complex situations where there's employee relations challenges, or maybe the growing firm has an employee that's been there a long time but isn't going to make it as the company scales. We're working through those things in real time directly with the CEO, taking that pressure off of them and showing them that this is where we're headed and let's remove those barriers to growth.
Fantastic. And is there some kind of bat signal that normally appears for these small to medium-sized companies before they need you?
There can be, and usually the signal is small. Well, for them it may feel very large. For us, there may be a signal, but it's maybe smaller at the beginning. But oftentimes, and this happens in almost every organization, it's usually one signal and there's many behind it. And so there may be one employee relations issue, but it may actually reveal that making decisions is hard to do. Letting someone go that's been loyal and faithful for 5 years, that's a difficult decision. So there are usually things behind it that, because we come in with high trust, because we come in with the competencies to and the ability to identify how to address all of these things, it just gives a level of confidence to these CEOs, and they know that these challenges are temporary and that we're growing and scaling. And so it can be a lot. I do have an example of that right now where we have a growing organization, and it's kind of like, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. And what that means is they had performance management. They were changing out their platform. They were looking to institute some training programs, a variety of things that they wanted to bring to the employees, but they just didn't know how. And they also wanted to hire at least 10 roles in the next few months. So all of that, we brought all that together quickly within a 60-day period. And I realized that the CEO probably was pretty overwhelmed just by the actual growth, but this is exactly what they articulated that they wanted. But when they saw it happening, they were like, wow, okay. So it's also keeping their nervous system settled at the same time. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. I find myself coaching people on their nervous systems all the time, so I get that. So this is fantastic information. So now, as we're talking about how you're growing other people's businesses, how are you growing your business?
So Monica, that's another great question. So I have been standing next to CEOs since my mid-20s, and I've been asking questions. I'm not a nosy person, but I do like to know how things work. And so by kind of pushing my way into those areas and asking questions, that allowed me to see what CEOs were dealing with. And so with all of that experience, I'm able to, take all of that and then bring that into the organization in a way. So I know that, for instance, for anyone, and this is not even to, if you're selling your company, really, this is just good practical standards, is something like operational documentation, making sure that whatever it is you're producing, can it be repeatable? If it's a widget, great. But if it's involving people, are they able to follow a set of standards? So we're setting up operating standards. How is our business development being delivered? Mm-hmm. Are we tracking the right finance metrics? There's a lot that goes on. And so because I've seen that across multiple organizations, I have an idea of where my investment dollars need to go. And so in the last 6 months, I've spent investment dollars on building that documentation set. And now I'm at a point where I'm more serious about our marketing and what we're doing there. So you have to pick and choose because you have a finite amount of dollars to spend. And at the same time, I'm able to relate to so many of the clients that we have because I'm going through the same exact thing, frankly.
Right. That makes sense. So because I'm marketing mindset and most of the things I do, I'm curious, where have your marketing dollars been going?
So far, they've been going toward more networking-based opportunities. And so I imagine a number of your listeners are probably involved in something like Vistage or EO or something along those lines. And networking, that always seems to beat everything, of course. And so how do you translate? And this is probably something that I imagine a lot of your listeners encounter is, how do you take something that you can explain directly as the CEO and then turn that into a marketable, I'll call it a commodity, even though it's not, but turn it into something that can be told in a way that doesn't require you standing there and explaining it.
Right.
And so we're at that point where people are talking about us a great deal, referrals are coming in. That's that kind of, investment time, and I'm sure some of your listeners are probably thinking to themselves like, gosh, business development is so difficult, and it can be. But know that the seeds that are planted yesterday do bear fruit later. And so we're seeing all of those things happen. And so because of that traction, we're now able to say, okay, we've almost matured. So we're maturing as an organization. And now we can move into more printed material and moving into platforms that we haven't been on. But how do you capture what we do in a way that's going to make sense to somebody that I'm not personally connected with? That's always a challenge.
That makes sense.
But it's a fun challenge.
Yeah. I think in our businesses, we are the product, right? They don't buy from a business, they buy from a person. So as we're spending the time meeting people in person, shaking hands, we might not get the referral that day, right? Because along the lines of what you said, the seed that's planted today is not the fruit that you eat tonight, where it takes time for that relationship to grow, or for that need to grow, or for that light bulb to go on saying, hey, I need SpanHR, at least an introductory call to make sure I'm not missing some things in this growth path that we're on. So thank you for that answer. That really resonates with me. My next question is, as you were talking about growth and what's in store for you, what's in store for your marketing dollars, and then where you see your company going, what's holding you back?
Well, I'm always honest and direct with myself and others. It's certainly whatever's in my head and the head trash that I carry at times. That's always the biggest thing. It's getting a lot better, and I'm working to depersonalize. Even though it's my business, I'm working to depersonalize the connections that I seem to be making in my mind that aren't really there. And so by doing that, I'm able to step back and say, okay, if it's me, but also what other from a structural standpoint in the business, what else is a challenge? Right now, it's really that marketing piece and looking at how do we really explain how different this truly is. And one thing that I have been doing is looking for who seems to be a competitor of ours, and frankly calling them directly and talking to them. Now there's nuances around that. I don't want everybody going out and doing that, but there are ways to get market information to understand and what we are dealing with as a business. And so for me, it's pressing go or hitting go on spending some of these dollars, because sometimes, like with marketing investments, you could really put a lot of money into it and hope that it's going to work. So I'm the type that likes proof points. Everybody does. So how do I get close enough to it? And luckily, I've surrounded myself with some really smart people that have allowed me to, who showed me what's possible. And that's where we've been able to gain a lot of traction over the last couple of years.
That's fantastic. So this growth also sounds like an opportunity. It's not just something that's holding you back.
Oh,
it feels like a catalyst.
Yes, it's actually, it's very motivating. It's frightening at the same time, but it's motivating in that when I'm seeing the traction, and I've seen it before with other organizations, I know what can be done.
Right.
And knowing what resources they pulled on, I may not use the exact same ones, but just the instincts alone help, because I basically almost mentally mapped certain steps that I need to take because I know what's coming, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it helps me talk with CEOs, executive to explain what they're going to be going through too. And having somebody that actually understands, there's nothing better than being able to talk to another CEO and, it really just identify and not feel alone, because I know we can feel alone as CEOs.
Yeah, because at that point too, you're peers and not, vendor client relationship.
Exactly.
Right. Well, thank you, Carolyn. This has been a fantastic conversation. How can my listeners get in touch with you?
Let's see. So I would say check out our website. So www.spanhr.com. And you can reach us there. And can certainly find me on LinkedIn, and my contact information is there. Happy to talk to any founder that feels like they're struggling out there, that's looking for that connection or what to do next. I know how that feels. So you're not out there alone. And hey, pat on the back to everyone that's out there pushing through this and making a difference.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners today,
Yes.
Monica.
Thank you for coming on and taking the time on a Monday, no less. I will also include all that information in the show notes for the listeners. And thank you, Carolyn, for your time today and talking with us about SpanHR. It's been really insightful for me, and I'm sure our listeners as well.
Terrific. Appreciate you.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?